Oh yeah, we got another Jeep with the misfire cylinder 3, 1, 2, 3. Usually on these you have to replace the whole coil pack. So you've got a big coil pack, as you can see, it's a big coil pack that runs from all the way there to all the way down here. So what I want to do here is we're gonna remove this intake, this crazy little intake. Well, what the hell is this? This is just, this ain't even doing anything in there. Look at this. This is the kind of work I run into. Anyways, I'm gonna remove the guy from this end, and we do have a problem with the washer fluid. We're gonna look into that. And what we're gonna do here is, somebody did the wild cover gasket on this guy, so I'm gonna just loosen this baby up, and then I'll wiggle, and let's see if it comes out. And I do not like to put these intakes in, but this baby comes right off just like that. And we'll put this to the side somewhere here. Now we're gonna have an easy access. So pretty much to take off this ignition coil, you have to just be careful. There's a bolt here, 13 millimeter, 13 and a 13, but you do have a connector all the way back there. So you have to reach back there somehow, some way, remove that connector, use some special tools if you need to get that connector out. So you can see pretty much down here is pretty good. So you cannot mess with that connector, and that connector cannot be loose, because if it comes off, your whole car shuts down. Anyways, if one of the coils will fail, you're gonna have a misfire. So this is on and off misfire on this baby. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take this baby off. So let me take off the connector. So I couldn't reach the back end to remove the connector, so I decided, why not take the ignition coil and then reach back there. You can lift up the ignition coil, bring it forward a bit. Oh, there goes my socket on top of the coil. And there's the bolt. So they're the same size. I'm gonna just throw that on the floor. I'm gonna have to figure this out one more time. We still got a bolt left, 2 bolts. And there's one right underneath this heater core hose here. Right there. Okay, come on, little guy. Let go of my socket. Ah, crazy bolts. Now he let goes. Back to square one, and we got one over here. Once this is loose, your coil's gonna try to start moving. It's just gonna drop down a bit, and let's take off the bolts. So we cannot yank on that harness at the end, okay? So we just want to move the coil forward a bit and get that connector off. So 4 bolts that look just like that. And the forming. Hello? Hello? Okay, so I don't know if my camera was running. So I took off 13 millimeter, 13 millimeter, 13 millimeter. There's 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 2 here and 2 here. They're sitting on the floor. I use this little guy, swivel, with the electric drill. So I couldn't get the connector off at the end because the coil is just jammed up in there. So I don't know if it's still gonna be a good idea for me to do this way. So I was hoping I'm able to maneuver the coil forward a bit and then work on it. And let's see how this goes. And maybe the coil can come forward a bit because the harness has space to come forward. But all this thing is cramped up in here. And let's see how that goes. And once this comes forward, once I'm able to pull this coil up and forward, I should be able to maneuver things. Okay, this AC line is gonna bother me now. Everything is gonna bother me, but there it is. The connector and the harness, everything is just straightforward now. Okay, now I should be able to reach down here and get that connector out. As you can see, how much space I have now. You see that? Look how much harness came forward right there. Anyways, once you get that connector off, the coil should just come out of there. So pretty much, I got the connector out. This is a terrible spot for them to put this baby at. But there's your connector right there. There it is. The light can't even see it. There it is. So, pretty much ready to come out. So I'm gonna go back in one more time And I'm gonna try to pull this coil up this way without damaging any of the wiring on the other end. You can also twist it and turn it a bit, and just make sure you don't damage any of the harness back there. All these tubings can move around, but there's our ignition coil. So cylinder number 3, misfire, which is 1, 2, 3. So this guy was giving us trouble here. It wasn't even a lot, okay? It would check on, your light would come on, it would shake, blink for a second, but it could be spark plugs. So I am going to be changing the spark plugs. So you do change your spark plugs, and they're that simple. Look at that, they're looking right at me. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4, 5, 6. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so that's the part you're not gonna see me take off the plugs, put new plugs in. Just get yourself 6 new plugs, put them in, and put in a new ignition coil. Usually the ignition coil is what will fail. So we got ourselves a new ignition coil. This is the standard brand, and there's a part number here if you guys need. And it's a one big pack, and straight out of the box. Trying to get the box out of the way, but there it is. The whole ignition coil is gonna go in the engine block, just like that. This is the end part, so make sure your connector and everything looks good. So this baby's gonna drop right in. We should be able to drop this right in, and all the misfires should fix. Does not come with new bolts, so something like that. So what we're gonna do is, now we cannot cramp it. I don't want to damage any of these boots, so slowly try to get it in there somehow, some way. Off the camera, I'm gonna get it in there. Before I drop it in there, I do want to put my connector in, and then put the bolts in, and that's how simple it is. All right, so we got the connector in, and I took out the dipstick, pushed this pipe over it, got the ignition coil halfway. So I'm gonna get the rest of it way in, and just pay attention to the wiring and the harness on that end. That connector cannot come loose, okay, for any reason. Okay, once you get everything in, make sure these ignition coil boots are sitting on top of each spark plugs before you push it in. Okay. Alright, so I got my bolts in. Make sure you catch the threads. After that, just lock them up slowly, evenly. Let me go in the back of it. So just don't jam one in. That's gonna uneven everything. So what this is gonna do is, as long as you got the spark plugs and the boots lined, it's gonna snug them right in. And we're good to go. And double check your connector in the back. You do not want that connector to come off for any reason. There we go. Double check. And double check. Okay, so I'm all done here. I need to put the dipstick back in and put the intake on. I want to check my connector. Okay, my connector's perfectly in. So this baby goes right here. Gotta put the dipstick in, and everything is just the way it's supposed to be. Put the intake on. Bada bing, bada boom. 30-minute job, no more than that. Get your tools and get out of there. Start up the car, and make sure you put the dipstick back in. This dipstick will come up, so make sure you put it back in because it will stick up and you will lose vacuum. Anyways, bada bing, bada boom. Thank you for watching.